Hello YouTube, I'm back with another knife review. This time it's the Benchmade 943 Osborne. This is not my knife, it's on loan to me right now. And I feel so fortunate right now to have a knife to borrow that otherwise would cost me about $200 to buy. It's my first Benchmade that I've ever had in hand for an extended period of time. And I have to say that I love it. The other Benchmade that I have tried was the mini Griptilian in the knife store, and I was very impressed by that as well. I perhaps wasn't as sophisticated of a knife user at the time, and that knife costs pretty close to $100 where I am. So there was other things that I wanted to buy at that time. So I kind of just played with the knife for a minute, said, oh, that's nice, maybe I'll come back to it at some other time, and that was it. I moved on. But now I sort of have the best of both worlds because I can sort of try a knife out, play with it for a little while, and then decide whether I really like it or not. So this knife is on loan right now, but it's a beautiful knife. This is the clip point version. It also comes in the reverse tanto edge, which I think would be better, but I'm happy to have it just as is. So the blade, the first thing that I noticed about this knife, like there's a number of things actually that are very different from what I'm used to. So first of all, the handle is made of aluminum. So I've never had an aluminum handled knife before. I have had stainless steel and mostly G10 and sort of Zytel handles. I know there's other options out there for sure, like titanium for example. But this is the first time I've really had like a lightweight metal handle in hand. And I gotta say I'm very impressed with it. Like the weight, the knife itself weighs 2.9 ounces, which is really very impressive. It's very light really when you get it in the hand. I think that probably also is due to the fact that the blade is very thin. So there's just not a lot of metal in the knife itself. And of course there's no, I guess there is liners in there actually, which is kind of surprising, but maybe it's because the aluminum is not overly strong. But yeah, there are steel liners inside there. You can probably see them a little bit. They're not skeletonized really. I see some holes are drilled in there, but nothing major. So the handle is aluminum, that's pretty cool. The pocket clip is nothing really that special, but sometimes less is more, you know, like there are some really strange pocket clips out there. Specifically, I'm thinking more Kershaw, they make some weird spaced out pocket clips. So it's nice to have something like this that's just very kind of standard, and it's not amazing, but it looks like it'll do the job and it'll carry pretty deep. You'll have sort of that much of the knife sticking out of the pocket, which is I think pretty ideal. So the lock is the axis lock, and this is really my first time you know, playing with the axis lock for an extended basis of time, and I really like it because it's easy to open and close the knife. You can do it with the thumb studs, and you can even flick it open with the axis lock, which I'm not doing very well right now, but you can. So you can kind of flick it open, flick it close, flick it open, flick it closed. And that's pretty sweet. And the knife just opens really well. I'm not good with thumb studs. That's probably my least favorite method of deployment. I prefer the spider hole. And after that, I guess a flipper would probably be the next best thing. But this is making me change my mind. I can get this knife out very easily with the thumb studs. So it's impressive in that respect. It looks like you can take the knife apart if you wanted to. It's got the torque screw in the pivot there, and also another one at the base of the knife. So it looks like, oh, and there's some small screws there on the body of the knife, so you could take it apart if you wanted to. I don't have any experience really with the axis lock, but so far so good. It seems very easy to sort of open it and close it one-handed. So that's outstanding, because there's some knives out there that are really a pain to do that with, and some it's just impossible. And it's really fast too. I gotta say I'm impressed with that. The blade itself is the S30V. You can see that there. I believe all Benchmades are made in the US, if I'm not mistaken. So you're getting US production with sort of premium materials, and that's pretty sweet, you know. I don't know if it's worth $200, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The blade shape, I really like this actually. I think it's becoming more common because I buy a lot of Spydercos to get that sort of thicker blade shape. You know, it's almost like double the size of this or something. So it's refreshing in a way to have like a thinner blade. This kind of reminds me of the Kershaw Chill that I had before, which is a totally different kind of knife, but the blade was thin like this as well. And I guess this would be called, they call it a clip point. I don't know, to me it's got a very sharp tip, you know, so it could be similar to a spear. I guess this would be good for piercing or other things like that. Let's try it out on like a piece of note card here and see how it does. Mind you, I haven't sharpened this knife, so I can't really speak to that, but it seems to be doing pretty well. Let's try cutting it with the serrations and see what happens. Okay, well, serrations are not really meant for cutting paper, but you can work it with serrations as well, so that's pretty cool. So I personally don't like partially serrated blades. I feel like they're a compromise and you don't really get the best of either world. I think that fully serrated knives have, you know, they serve very specific purposes. Apparently serrations are better for cutting, you know, fabric or rope or things like that, which I never do. So I tend to gravitate towards the, you know, plain edge knives. This seems to me to be a hologround blade, which I think is cool. I don't have any problem with that. I do prefer the full flat grind blades, but this is nice also. And you know, what can I say about this knife really? But it opens fast. It opens fast and it closes fast. Like, I really can't think of any knife that I've ever had before that opens and closes so effortlessly. So I've never had a Benchmade before, and I've sort of been prejudiced against Benchmade just because of the cost involved. Like, you literally cannot get a Benchmade for less than $100 when you include taxes. Maybe it's different in the United States, and I'm sure it probably is, but in Canada, it's just, things are more expensive, and for $100, I can buy, you know, a Spyderco paramilitary. And I personally, if I had to choose between the Para and the Osborne, I would definitely choose the paramilitary just because I have more experience with it and I know more about it. I just think it's a beautiful blade. But you know, if money is no object, this is a nice knife, you know, for sure. Again, I would take the plain edge. You know, maybe a different handle color would be cool. This black on, it's kind of interesting actually to compare these two knives because they are both black on black, and they're both cool knives. S30V, you know, they both have sort of, I guess, proprietary locks, I would say. Like the axis lock is a Benchmade and the compression lock is a Spyderco thing. Yeah, they're both nice knives, and I mean, it's not a comparison video. I just kind of want to show that to you for comparison purposes. Here's an Endura as well. The reason I showed these knives is because the blade length is pretty similar, but you can see how much fatter or broader rather that the Spyderco blade is. It's literally, it's almost twice as big as the Benchmade. So if you don't mind having a slimmer blade, it definitely does take away some weight from the blade. It's pretty amazing to have. I think this is almost 3.5 inches. And have it, I think when the weight in ounces is less than the blade length in inches, you've really got like a very efficiently weighted knife. So I don't know, my impressions of this knife overall, I would love to carry this knife, especially if it was in a plain edge. I think I would absolutely fall in love with this knife, and it would not leave my pocket. I'm starting to understand why people like Benchmades for sure. Just the lock is amazing. You can operate this one-handed. You know, you just press down and it swings back into the handle. I can do it better off camera, but look at that, right? It falls perfectly back into the handle. It reminds me of the Manix 2 with the caged ball lock, I personally can't operate the Mannix 2 this easily, especially with one hand. I need to apply 2 fingers to it to work it properly, which is initially what I did with this knife. But then I started playing around with it a bit more, and you can do it one-handed, no problem. And you can even flick it open one-handed. So that's just amazing. The speed is outstanding. The speed, the weight, the blade shape, I'm not really that crazy about it, but I don't have any problem with it necessarily. I would prefer the reverse tanto blade in a plain edge. But overall, I have to say this knife is absolutely outstanding. If you don't have a problem with that $200 price tag, go for it, you know, and I may do so in the future. I definitely think I'll be getting a Benchmade at some point, just based on what I've seen so far. Certain knives, they click with you. You know, you get it in the hand and you just say, I understand that knife. It's very intuitive, and you know, it fits well in my hand, and it's just perfect, you know. So we'll see, but I think a Benchmade will probably be coming more permanently in the future, and it's definitely nice to have this one to play with on a temporary basis just to see if I like it. Anyways, thanks for watching.